So I was just part of a sort of small, very small, weak attempt to get a Ice Crown Citadel reputation run going. And it pretty much demonstrated to me, well, not really to me, because I already know, but I pretty much knew it would happen. But it demonstrated, it underscored something that's happening in World of Warcraft, specifically private servers, more and more these days. And it's only getting worse with time. Now, see, these rep runs, uh, on previous servers I've been on, this raid was not scripted as completely, so they were a lot easier. You could get away with far less gear. You could tank it with like a PvP spec and like PvP gear, I mean PvE spec, whatever, like DPS spec, and like just tank gear or something like that. I mean, not tank gear, PvP gear, so you're uncrittable or whatever. A Retribution Paladin could, tank 25-man rep runs in PvP gear. But here, as me and like two other guys or three found out, it's not that simple. It's actually quite a challenge, and I was getting absolutely ass raped by these big mobs, the Deathbound wards. Doing like 20k damage in just one hit. And that doesn't really fly with the gear that I have. But the thing is, this attempted run kind of reminded me about what potential this game has when you play it with the right people. Because this guy who was trying to get this group going, he was like me. He had never done a rep run or ICC on this server before, but he's done it on Warmain, or Molten as it used to be called. And over there it was easier. And we were expecting this to be pretty much a walk in the park, with the exception of having low DPS, so it would take a long time. That wasn't the case. But the real difficulty was not the actual content itself, although that was a difficulty, it was a challenge. The real difficulty was just finding anybody who was interested in this, like who wanted to join. And of the people that joined, the difficulty was finding ones who actually were willing to give it a shot without it being a full group, without it being full of like overpowered characters, without being summoned. It just wasn't happening. And basically there were only two basically conscious sort of sapient parties in this group, and it was me and the guy who was starting it. And we both figured out the hard way that it's harder than we thought, and we tried to overcome the challenges, and we failed. We learned some things. And I think even this guy might have been problematic because, I don't know, it looked like someone who might be interested in the same type of thing I am, which is actually putting together a guild, putting together a stable group of people that have similar goals in mind, who want to start from the ground up and just conquer every aspect of this game from the ground up, learn it, master it, and then completely fucking destroy it. And then basically just shit on everyone else, and but that isn't to be our fate on Sunwell. It wasn't to be the fate on Dalaran WoW. It certainly wasn't our fate on Molten WoW, at least. Maybe it was in the past, but not anymore. It's certainly not anyone's fate on Warmane. And I even have my doubts that it is anyone's fate on retail right now, on the new WoW Classic. I don't know if it's because everyone's just older and the magic has worn off. I don't know if it's because they don't have as much time as they used to. If they're so distracted with all sorts of things going on in their lives. But there is a problem. It seems that even among some of the formerly best players, the best people to play with, the ones who really did have an enthusiasm for figuring things out, mastering things, and just enjoying the process, enjoying all of the actual time spent in the game itself, enjoying like the actual fights, the combat, just enjoying the game and enjoying doing stuff with their buddies. They seem to have fallen prey to this new method of doing things. Essentially, what we have here is, instead of players who actually want to play the game as an experience in itself, what we have are people who just want to win the game as quickly and easily as possible. And they are willing to employ any and all techniques to do that if it minimizes their time spent in the game, if it minimizes any sort of effort or that they would put forth to figure things out, to configure things, to become more effective at whatever they're doing in the game. Essentially, the game of World of Warcraft has been replaced with an economic model. It's no longer about playing the game itself, enjoying the game, or enjoying the time spent with your comrades in the game, with your team, with your guild. It's no longer about that. It's no longer about making friends and getting to know people, about learning all the nuances, strengths and weaknesses of your class and different stats. It's no longer about that anymore. Now the game has become sort of an ATM machine where you essentially pull a lever and then cash out emblems, you cash out gear, upgrades, you cash out boss kills, you cash out achievements, and eventually if you're with the right group of people and you have enough gear and you get lucky, you cash out Light of Dawn, you cash out Halion 25 Heroic, you cash out all the best gear in the game, and then you're done. And then you, I guess, quit or PvP or something. And this process, what makes it even worse is that in many cases it's not even a team effort to do that. It's just an individual effort for each person alone to see to it that they pull the lever of this sort of slot machine and attempt to cash out what they want out of the game. And it's up to them to see to it that they can join the right group or manage to exchange cute pleasantries and memes with just the right people for just long enough to get what it is that they want out of the game before they quit or, you know, get bored or whatever. And that pretty much sums up the approach most people have to this game right now. The approach pretty much everyone has to this game right now. And I've noticed, of course, this has always been something that has been going on since the beginning of computer games. But over the course of, I don't know, 10, 12 years or whatever, I don't know, playing World of Warcraft, and much longer playing computer games in general, over the internet, or with friends in person, over local area networks, I've noticed this trend, and it's just getting worse. People used to just play the game for the game itself, to enjoy the game, and they were happy to organize things together, get to know each other, spend time with each other, and do things that way, and actually form these cohesive groups where everyone looked out for each other's interests. It's what I would call enlightened self-interest, where you get what it is that you're looking for by helping others with the same or similar objectives do the same together. This concept seems to have been lost, and I don't blame the younger players for it, although they might be part of the problem in a different way. More so, I blame the older players, because they have a frame of reference for what it used to be, and they just, it seems they've forgotten, or they just don't care anymore. They think that they can just take this game, and which they still put a huge amount of time into, and yet relegate it to a status that is the lowest possible priority in their life, and yet expect from the game, from the players that they play with, expect to achieve things, to have things, to get the consistency from others that comes from making it a priority in life. Not necessarily the top priority in life, but a priority. A priority. They seem to think that they can just glorify and uplift their familial obligations, their children, their jobs, their hobbies, other hobbies, and all sorts of other things which take up their time, and then treat the game and treat the other players in the game like some disposable rag that they can just wipe things up with and throw away. And that could be like they expect that they can just log in 2 hours a week or something and just have everything handed to them. You know, and a lot of these same people, they have these sort of boomer attitudes, like, you know, this sort of meritocratic idea that if you're not doing well economically, you know, you're not trying hard enough, you're not working hard enough. Funny they don't apply that to the game. They're complete hypocrites. They expect everything to be handed to them. They expect every player to know everything that they know without any experience. And they think that they can just waltz in at any random time according to their own schedule and just have everything, all of the challenges, all the raids, fall over at their feet and hand them the loot. And yet, if you talk to them about quote-unquote real life, they would never put forth that attitude. As far as they're concerned, you have to be committed and work hard, right? And what makes their hypocrisy even worse is that a lot of them, they still put a lot of time into the game. They still log in every day, hours per day, all hours of the day sometimes. You see them come in, and a lot of them spend more time than I do in this game. And I'm the one who I will say, I have absolutely no life. I'm the one with no life. They're the ones who supposedly have normal lives and busy lives and whatnot, and yet they're the ones who are on here more than I am. And what ends up happening, every time they log in, what do? They sit there waiting for something to happen, or trying to put a group together to serve their own agenda, to serve their own schedule, completely off the cuff, completely in the moment. They want something out of the game, and they want it now. And if they don't get it easily enough, they don't get it quickly enough, what do? They'll either sit there logged in, kind of like randomly doing stuff, and maybe going away and maybe doing something away from their computer in the background, or they'll just log off. And many of these people are guild leaders. Many of these people claim to want to run a guild, to start something and really build something. They're all frauds, because they demonstrate zero interest in actually building a team. They're not willing to put in the time or even the communication just to do the most basic of things, like doing content that doesn't offer them any benefits to gear upgrades, but would offer benefits to other members of their guild. Or they might only do it once in a while. They're not willing to just do stuff in the game just so they can spend time with their guildmates to just enjoy the game. That's not good enough. They need to cash out. They need to cash out that morsel, the next morsel of progress for their character. Otherwise, apparently they're too bored with the game. And it's not, they're not the problem, everyone else is the problem. Well, you know, because everyone else isn't hopping on board their completely solipsistically self-centered agenda. You know. So, even when they spend all this time in the game, you know, just sort of desperately and pathetically trying to, you know, get a quick freebie out of the game to get something essentially handed to them. You know, they spend all this time, and they're not even willing to spend the time to actually just do stuff together and build something. You know, actually get to know the people you're playing with, the people you're forming a guild with. And it's literally so bad that, I mean, they don't even talk to you. They don't talk to anybody until the time comes for them to get what they want. They don't even talk. Nobody talks. And, you know, somehow they actually expect people to join in on them when they plan a raid or something. And, you know, I suppose these are the younger players too. The newer players, maybe they do the same thing, but they could be blamed for a number of reasons due to the new, you know, perhaps cell phone and social media culture, this extreme disconnect and breakdown in communication that's happening, which is even worse than anything before. But we have to remember, whose example are they following? Who has the power to set a better example and actually build something in this game? Because the older people, the adults, the 30-year-olds, the 40-year-olds, etc., and beyond, who have played this game for so long, we are the ones who are better equipped to build something real, to build something that stands the test of time, to build something that can enrich the lives of many people that we play this game with, to build something that could extend beyond this game and have just an infinite potential to enrich the lives of all involved in who knows what way. And it is us, it is we who have taken this grand opportunity, who have taken everything that we know about this game, all of our experience and potential wisdom, and it is we who have thrown it out, tossed it out, and set it aside, and forsaken it. It is us who are burning down this game. We are burning down the communities. And these newer players, they're just going to follow that example. The typical guild these days is run like a corporation. And that's not a good thing. See where that style of doing things has gotten us. Outside of WoW, outside of World of Warcraft. We're headed to a pretty ugly place. So, I think this pretty much is the last nail in the coffin for my current approach to WoW, the current approach to the gameplay. I've pretty much officially given up on joining anyone's guild, on any attempt to build any sort of thing. You know, aside from like these sort of soulless tryhards, you know, who just run their guilds like corporations with all their fake, cutesy little memeing to act as if somehow they have some kind of social cohesiveness, which they absolutely do not. Which is really just a means to an end, so they can, you know, cash out of the game, basically. You know, it's just, I'm done with that. I'm done with, I know that the only way to make this game what it needs to be for me in the long term, or to make any game like this what it needs to be in the long term, is to do it myself. And doing it myself is not going to be an easy or quick task. It's going to be full-time, it's going to be overtime, it's going to be full tilt. There's no other way to get it done. And if I can build what I want to build, if I can find just a few of the right people who have the same type of goal in mind, then we can do this. And once the ball gets rolling, it's going to be nothing but great times from there on out. Until the internet is gone, until the earth is gone, or until whatever is gone. Until we can no longer do this anymore. It's going to be nothing but good times. Win or lose, no matter how far we get. But until the time comes that I can do that I can dedicate that much time and effort, I'm going to have to basically play this game either solo or just with a couple buddies of mine who don't really have the same vision, but just play every once in a while. And that's fine. I have plenty of things I can do in this game by myself. You know, just do dungeons, maybe PvP if I have time for that, but probably don't. You know, just making new characters, learning new classes, learning new specs, mastering things. Just whenever. But I'm not going to pretend that there's anybody worth trying to do anything with, aside from like random, just completely random groups occasionally, because they're not worth doing anything with. You know, as more time goes on, I feel like just giving anyone attention in this game is like casting pearls before swine. They're not worthy of it. You know, they're just leeches. They don't even seem to like the game that much themselves. They're just looking for a payday of sorts. And I'm not down for that. You know, my payday is the actual experience. It's the actual gameplay. It's the actual relationships. The long-term overcoming of challenges that's what really gets me into this. And there was a lot more of that before, but there's very little of it now. And it's too bad because the private servers just keep getting better and better on a technical level. They work better, everything's better scripted, the bugs are fixed. And what have we done with it? What has the community done with it? They've spit on it. They're abusing it. But this isn't the end. At some point, you know, when I can get this trading stuff to a good enough place that, you know, I can just do it part-time and just whenever, and, you know, keep paying my bills, keep growing my account. You know, my trading account. I'm not talking about World of Warcraft account. You know, just grow the capital and get to a point where ultra part-time I can just keep, you know, stacking up some capital. Once that happens, that's when the work can begin. And I know there are people out there who would appreciate this, who want the same thing that I want. I know that you people are out there somewhere. But I also know that the circumstances of your lives and just your inability to find anyone like that makes it seem like this cannot be done. It makes it seem like you might as well just join the masses and their disgusting way of playing this game. And just be out for yourself, just be out for the next gear upgrade, just, you know, just try to play this game like it's a, you know, you're ordering a Happy Meal at the drive-thru. But I'm telling you, it can be done. And I don't care what it takes to do it. If I have to find people locally, if I have to bring them together into the same house, into the same local area network, just to actually get some people together for this shit, to start the ultimate guild, then that's something I would possibly be prepared to do. I think I would do that. You know, all that it takes is a relentless interest and the willingness to communicate and work together with people with the same types of goals in mind. I know there are people who want to bring back the glory of this game. And we can do that. So, to those of you out there who have some type of vision like that in mind, you haven't seen the end of me just yet. Better things are to come.